Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and I need a new laptop. Not this one. This one works absolutely fine. It's that one basically has had it. This is the laptop that I use literally down the side of the sofa in the living room, and if I just want to browse on the internet or something while I'm in there, this is generally what I pick up to use. Someone gave me this quite a few years ago. It's an old Asus netbook, and it was given to me because it wouldn't connect to the Wi-Fi properly. It'd connect and work for a few minutes, and then it'd drop the Wi-Fi connection, and you had to restart it, and it'd do it again and work for a few minutes. Anyway, I just put a new Wi-Fi card in it, and it worked perfectly. And I've been using it for a few years. The trouble is, this is just too old now. It's got a Intel Atom CPU in it. It's only a 32-bit CPU, and I like running Linux on most of my systems, and the version of Linux Mint that this runs is now unsupported. They don't produce a 32-bit version of it anymore, so really this thing, and it's also the power connector there, the charge connector started to get iffy on it. I think only one of the USB ports works on it anymore. Basically it's had its life. I've got my money's worth out of it, considering it cost me bugger all. So if anyone knows me and knows the channel, I have an aversion to spending money. I really don't like spending money unnecessarily. Let's just get this out of the way. I'll shut that one down and pull that out of the way, and I'll show you what I picked up to replace that old netbook, because I actually wanted something a bit more like a proper laptop, because although that netbook's nice size wise and it doesn't take up much space, my eyesight's not getting any better. It's not what it used to be, and I really wanted something with a bigger screen and a better keyboard and what have you. So I went on the old eBay, and for 15 quid I picked that up. Now this came from a computer e-waste recycler. This was sold literally as e-waste for £15. What we've got here, if I open it up, this is a research machines, so these would have been used in schools and colleges and things like this. The model is, this is a research machines model W76C. I believe it's made by Clevo Co. Obviously research machines, I don't think make their own. I don't think they make anything anymore, to be honest. It's just badged that. But what attracted me to this was, well, it was £15, and even nowadays you can't really pick up an i5 laptop for £15. There are a few reasons why this was £15. As I said, it was sold as e-waste. The only thing on the description was, and there was two of these for sale. It was described as powered up to BIOS not locked, no further testing done. So I saw it. I mean, I'll put some power up it now so you can see. And obviously it doesn't come with any accessories or anything. This is just another this is the laptop supply off my Toshiba, but it's the right connector and the right voltage, so we can use it. We plug it in, power up. The power switch is a little bit on the wonky side, but it does work. And it basically does exactly as it said on the listing. So it comes up, we can go on to setup there. Time and date not set, obviously it needs a CMOS battery replacing in it. I'll get round to that at some point. We've got a CD, DVD drive in there. Hard drive's been removed. It said that on the listing, no hard drive. If you look on this little tag down here, it tells us basically what we've got. We've got a i5 with the M520 2.4 gigahertz CPU, got 2 gigabytes of RAM and no hard drive. As for battery life, it basically said they don't guarantee the batteries in them. The battery doesn't work on this one. I have already tried. If I unplug the power, oh, well, it is actually taking a charge now. It wasn't when I first tried it. I don't know how long it'll hold that charge for, but also apparently the battery does seem to work to some extent. I have actually ordered a replacement battery for this because it was only like 14 quid for a new battery for it. But what I thought we'd do in this video is see if we can actually turn this from a piece of e-waste actually into a useful, usable laptop, which I can. I'm actually undecided what to do, whether to keep this for the workshop and use my Toshiba as my living room, you know, sofa laptop, or keep that one for the workshop and use this as the sofa laptop. I'm kind of thinking about keeping this for in the workshop. I think it's actually a much nicer, better laptop than my Toshiba. Anyway, we'll have a look at getting this thing up into, like I said, full running order. So we'll shut it down. Get that disconnected. And obviously, it's going to need, you know, a little bit of cleaning up on it. It's pretty dusty. It's probably been in storage for some time before the actual company got round to, you know, pulling the hard drive out of it and recycling that and then putting these on eBay. And we'll look underneath. This is one thing I really like about this laptop, which is much nicer than my Toshiba. A few weeks ago, actually, I did some work on that Toshiba because it was having some issues where it was seemed to be overheating, and I wanted to clean the dust out of it and put some new thermal paste on the CPU. And to get to the CPU on it, you've literally got to strip everything out of the laptop, take the motherboard out, flip it over, and then you can get to the CPU. And there was some very congealed, very dried heatsink paste on there, so I cleaned it all up and cleaned all the fans out and everything in it, and it's actually a much happier laptop now. But anyway, let's. The reason I like this is you don't have all that messing about with it. This is how easy it is to get inside it. We've got one, two, three screws. I can pop this panel off. Oops, and there's little, oh, I've disconnected it, but there's a little connector there for the fan on the bottom of the case, and that's it, you're in. There's the CPU there, there's our RAM, so it's dead easy to, you know, do an upgrade. And even better, it's actually very similar to my Toshiba. The CPU is not soldered to the motherboard, it is in a socket, so I could actually upgrade this laptop if I wanted to. There is an i7 laptop CPU. I did have a look it up, which will drop straight into this and give it a bit of a performance boost. But to be honest, this is probably going to be powerful enough for what I want, because I don't use it for, like, you know, big applications or anything. It's more for searching online, perhaps watching the odd YouTube video or something like that, so it doesn't get a horrendous amount of use. I think I might do. Let me get my anti-static on while we're messing about in here. I might just grab the brush and just get some of the little bits of dust off that, which have seemed to have accumulated. In fact, one of my toothbrushes should do. A bit of dust built up on that heatsink there, so we can get that clear. In fact, what I could do is I could actually just pull that out and we could do the heatsink paste while we're in there, because I'm sure it's not been touched. and it gives me a good opportunity to clean that little radiator at the end properly. Yeah, it's a good job I went in there. That heatsink paste is all horrible and dried up, and look, yeah, that's nasty. Yeah, that's not what you want to see your heatsink paste like. So we might as well, while we're in here, give that all a good clean. We'll see if we can get, actually it's not too bad now, we've got that bit of dust out of there, but I'll give that a quick blowout. We'll get all the dust out of that. Might as well make this as good as we can. That's not looking too bad, I can see through that now. Bit of dust along there. And get that dust out, and give it a quick blow. That's much better. There we go, that's nice and clear through there. Now I can see through all the slots. Lovely. Yeah. Get that bit of dust out of here as well while we're in here. And we'll get a couple of Q-tips and we'll get that old thermal grease off the... and move those out of the way a bit. In fact, let's... yeah. Get in here and we'll get that old thermal grease off the CPU. Oh, that is horrible stuff. This is exactly what I did to my with my Toshiba, like I said, a couple of weeks back, and it made a massive difference. So we've got red in the middle, we've got black at this end. Let's just get those disconnected from the Wi-Fi, and we should be able to get to the CPU a little bit better. There we go. We'll get in and we'll get all. You've got to be a little bit careful when you're doing this. You don't want to pull one of them little surface mount components off the CPU. We'll get that old thermal grease off there. That really is sticky, horrible stuff. I don't think anyone's ever changed it or at least checked it out on this thing before. But then again, like I said, 15 quid. Now these aren't expensive laptops. I've looked online and you can pick these old research machine laptops, similar one with various different processors. They did these with an i3 in them, the i5 that I've got, and I've seen some with an i7 in them, but I don't know whether they came from the factory like that or it's just what people have upgraded because you can. So I might look at that myself, but I honestly think this has probably got enough performance for what I want as it is. There we go. Excuse me, look at that quick. Get rid of them little bits of old thermal grease. There we are, that's much better. A little bit there. Obviously we'll have to do the same on there, get all that old manky thermal grease off that copper heatsink. That really has gone nasty. There we go. Give that a nice clean up. Get rid of that. That should be good enough. Now we should have... ah, there it is. I've still got some Arctic Silver left. I've had that quite a long time actually, but it's still good. It's still all nice and soft and pliable, so we'll virtually run out now. But we'll take a little bit of this. And we'll add a little bit of new Arctic Silver like that onto the... you don't need too much. There's a couple of nice little spots like that, should be plenty. Probably got enough in there to do one or two more CPUs. And we will get the heatsink back on. There we go. We'll get that in place. Lovely. That should make it somewhat happier. Just doing that little bit of preventive maintenance in there. The other thing I'm going to do, like I said, currently this thing only has 2 gigs of RAM in it, which really nowadays, and running Linux and what have you on it, is not enough. So while I was buying this, I actually went to another e-waste vendor that breaks old systems up, and for £7 including postage. I really don't like the fact that they haven't put them in anything anti-static. They've actually put them in something nice and static generating. Hopefully these still work. We've got 2 4 gig PC3 sticks here. So we'll upgrade from 2 gigabytes up to 8 gigabytes. Let's get these out of this horrible bag. So there we go. That's our memory upgrade for this thing. So I paid £15 for the laptop. Paid £14 for the replacement battery, even though that does seem to be working to some extent. But if I decide I'm going to use this in the other room, it would be nice to have a fully working battery on it. In fact, even if I use it in here, it's always handy to have a good battery in it. So let's put the new RAM in. I'm trying to put that in. I'm trying to put that in the wrong way. That's why it won't fit. It's got to go that way around. That's 1, 2. So we've got 8 gigs of RAM in there now. Oh, I've got to reconnect these to the wireless. Let's get those connected back on. Hate putting these little connectors on Wi-Fi cards, they're always fiddly. Come on, get on. Oops. Excuse me. That's that one on. Put that cover back over it. There we go. Let's connect that one back up. Always one that's going to be a bit of a pain. There we go. Finally went on. Oh no, pop back off again. There we go. That's snapped on there. We'll do in the end. So, excuse me. So there we go. That's preventive maintenance done, as in we've cleaned out the radiator there, we've applied new thermal grease to the CPU, and we've upgraded from 2 gigabytes of RAM up to 8 gigabytes of RAM. So I think we can put that cover back on for now. Now this is a slightly fiddly bit, is getting this fan connector. They didn't think this out when they designed this. You need to kind of get your fan connector on. There we go. And slide the case back in. There we are, lovely. That's all gone down again. I'll screw that back in place. There we go. Now the other thing is, obviously this thing come without without a hard drive in it. Now I am actually getting a little bit short on SATA hard drive, 2.5-inch SATA hard drives, but I had a rummage through my junk and I found one which should be suitable. This is a 250 gig SATA hard drive. Size wise, to be honest, I'm not really that bothered about, because it's not as though I run tons and tons of applications or anything on this. It runs, you know, a web browser, possibly something like KiCad. That's what I have. Basically, I'm going to have pretty much what I've got on my other laptop on this one. So, like I say, a decent web browser, KiCad. I have a hex editor on there that I occasionally use, and really that, and basic word processing, you know, Open Office or something of that ilk, Star Office, for basic you know, word processing needs. And that's really all I need on these laptops. I don't, like I said, I don't game on them or anything like that. It is just a way of connecting to the internet and, you know, like I said, basic word processing and things like that. So we will put that hard drive in. I'm pretty sure this hard drive works. I think it is out of one of my other laptops that I scrapped. I don't think it's got anything on it. I think I've formatted it actually, but we'll see. Right. So that should be upgraded for the time being. Let's put some power up it. I also like the way that the battery lifts it up at the back there, so it gives a really nice typing angle actually for on the desk. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be the workshop one, and my Toshiba is going to end up as my sofa laptop. Let's switch on and let's see. I might have to see if I can fix that button there. The button works, but it's just a little bit on the iffy side. But again, 15 quid laptop, you know. Beggars can't be choosers. Let's get you up again. So we'll run setup and let's see if it's recognised the hard drive yet. So we've got the hard drive in there, 250 meg hard drive. We'll set the date and time. We will have to go in there and replace the CMOS battery at some point, but I'm not too mild about that now. Right, so system time, it is it's the 10th today, so oops, the page up and date, nope, enter. So how do you change it? Hang on, I'm being thick here now. 10th, 10th, enter, yeah, 11, 20, 23. And so the other thing, you know, does it show, is this, I mean this laptop's probably about 10 years old or what have you. I think it's like either a first or second generation i5 CPU in it. So it is, you know, it's getting on, but with what I've done, with putting the extra RAM in it, running Linux on it, this should be perfectly usable in 2023. For what I'm doing, like I said, if it was gaming or anything like that, probably not. But for what I'm using this laptop for, it should be absolutely perfectly, you know, suitable for what I'm doing. Now, time wise, what are we on? I think we're on about 10 o'clock ish, so let's put 22. Oops, 22 and to 10. I think it's about right. That'll do anyway. Right, so we'll escape there. Exit, save configuration, yes, enter. Right, now I've got a USB stick here with Linux on it. Let's put that in there. Oh, it's still got Windows. Must still have a Windows boot file on it or something. Right, F2. There we go to boot. USB hard drive. That one. Hit enter there. We want to get that as the first. Right, so we want to go enter. Enter, is it? So how do we get that as the first boot device? Do we go 1? No? Right, select item, select menu, enter. Right, so plus or minus. Yeah. There we go, so we've set the USB as the first boot device. We've got the CD-ROM, oops, we've got the CD-ROM as the second boot device. We want the third boot device as the hard drive, I think. Oh, that's a USB, right, so second boot device we want as the third boot device we'll have as the hard drive. And then we want the CD, DVD, ROM drive as the second boot device. There we go, so we've got first is our USB, second is our CD, DVD drive, and we want third is the hard drive. There we go, that should be good. So we will save that. Yes. Right, hopefully now it should try and boot from the USB stick. There we go. So we want to do an OEM install. What I'll do, won't bore you through me setting up Linux Mint, because I'm sure everyone that's interested in using Linux Mint knows how to set it up. So what I'll do is I'll come back when we've got Linux Mint set up on this computer, and we can just have a quick look around it and make sure that we're completely happy with it. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we are back, and believe it or not, this is actually 3 weeks later. So I was trying to put the operating system on this, and it turns out excuse me excuse me, it turns out that the RAM that I bought actually turned out it was faulty. The computer will boot with it, and if I put a hard drive with an operating system on it in the laptop, it would actually boot up. It actually boot up into the operating system, and then it would crash. When I tried using the hard drive that I'd selected for this and actually installing Linux on it, it wouldn't even get through the boot up process. You put the USB stick in the side to start it loading up Linux, You get about halfway through the boot process and it would just freeze, lock up. I tried the RAM test that comes with the Linux install, and as soon as it got into the RAM test, the computer just froze, completely locked up. I tried everything I could with the RAM sticks that had come. I tried them in another laptop and they behaved exactly the same in that one. I made sure they were exactly the right, because there are different speeds, and though it's just like DDR3 laptop RAM, there are different speeds of that RAM, and obviously if you use one that's too slow or too fast for the computer you're designing it for, you're going to have issues. I confirmed it was exactly the right RAM for the this computer. Like I said, it was just faulty. It didn't exactly appear at first to be faulty, but it was. Anyway, the seller that I bought it from, no problems at all. He just issued me a refund straight away. So I ordered some more RAM. Now, instead of buying, you know, tested used RAM, I actually bought brand new RAM for this. Again, same 2 4 gig sticks. But I ordered it from a company that's based in China, mainly because the 2 sticks cost me a tenner. They were like £9.99 or something like that, including postage. So it was only like £3 or so more than I paid for the used RAM. But that did mean that I had to wait for that RAM, obviously, to arrive over in the UK. Meanwhile, I got rather ill as well. I have had the most horrendous chest infection for like the last 3 weeks. It's literally knocked me for 6. I've not been able to do pretty much anything in the workshop. I've been very, very limited in what I could do. Climbing up the stairs was enough to basically completely wipe me out for some time. But anyway, the RAM arrived. I put the RAM in it. While I was waiting for that RAM, you know how you browse around on eBay, and I spotted some SSDs at a ridiculously cheap price. I'll just show you what I picked up. Now these were not new, they were second hand, but the guy had like a couple of hundred of them, so I was fairly confident, you know, that they were probably something fairly reasonable. So what I picked up was a SanDisk 128 gig SSD. So that cost me £7.50, including postage. So it was a no-brainer. I don't need mega capacity on this laptop or anything. It's literally a laptop that sits on my workshop desk here for when I want to, you know, look up a circuit diagram, look up data on a component or something like that. So like I say, it doesn't need mega storage capacity in the actual laptop. So I picked that up, and still I was not having it all my way. I put the SSD in, and I could not for the life of me get the laptop to install Linux Mint. I keep trying, and it would go through the it would boot up into Linux Mint. You'd click on the icon to install Linux Mint onto the hard drive. It would go through the entire process without any issues at all. It'd say, please, you know, you get to the end, you shut the computer down, it says please remove your installation media and allow the computer to reboot. Press enter, you'd do that, and it'd drop you straight down into just the Linux, you know, shell, the Linux kernel. It would not boot into the GUI or anything, no matter what I tried. What I ended up doing in the end was actually pulling that hard drive out, sticking it in my Toshiba laptop, my i3 Toshiba laptop, installing Linux Mint on there, and it worked absolutely perfectly. It installed it no problem. Pulled that drive out, put it back in here, works perfectly. I'll just demonstrate. I've actually, and the other thing is the battery, if you remember from a little bit earlier in the video, I said I would have to order a new battery for this because the battery wasn't holding a charge, wasn't even taking a charge. So I went ahead and I actually ordered a brand new battery for this, which I've got. But the battery in it just started working, and it holds a charge for about 3 hours. So I can't say there's anything wrong with the battery here. So I've already ordered, seen I'd already ordered it. I'm not going to send it back. It just means I've got a good replacement battery for this, for if I do want to, you know, use it out of the workshop. I've got a spare battery I could take with me. And just see how quick this loads up now. This is the absolute brilliant thing about it, having the SSD in there and the 8 gig of RAM. Let me just put my password in. And there we go. So it's really is quite. I can get rid of that now. I don't need that. It really is quite fast for what I want to use this laptop for. Like I said, this laptop's not going to be, you know, a gaming system or playing loads of videos or anything like that. It's literally for sitting on the edge of my desk here in the workshop, and when I want to, you know, look up data on whatever I'm working on, or I want to pull up, you know, a circuit diagram for something I'm working on, or just research something, I've got it here to use. It will do more than that, but that's really what I want this for. It means that old Toshiba that I used to use in here, which incidentally I've also put an SSD in. It's only got 4 gig of RAM compared with the 8 gig of this, but that literally sits down the side of my sofa, and all I use that for is just literally just randomly browsing the web or something, you know, checking emails and things like that when I'm sat in the living room on the sofa. That's replaced my little netbook, which had basically just got to the point where it was no longer really usable. So I am super happy with that. And what's it cost me in total? I paid £15 for the laptop. I paid £10, shall we say, for the RAM upgrade. And it also meant that the 2 gig of RAM that was in this actually went into the Toshiba, which only had 2 gig in it. So that Toshiba's now got 4 gig of RAM in it, which again makes it usable. This has now got 8 gig of RAM in it. So like I said, I paid £15 for the laptop. I paid £10 for that RAM upgrade. I paid £7.50 for the SSD, which, I mean, I had hard drives I could use in this, but it has, you know, it's halved, if not quartered, the boot up on this, putting that SSD in there. How long it'll last, being that it's a second user SSD, I don't know what they were originally used for. The guy had a hell of a lot of them. He had like a couple of hundred of them, so I presume they were all out of the same whatever. Or they were just old ones that had been left over and maybe they'd never ever been used. I don't know. I mean, 128 gig is kind of small nowadays for an SSD. Doesn't matter for me, doesn't matter for what I want to use this laptop for. So we're at what, £25, £32.50 for the laptop. I did buy the other battery, that was another £15, even though I don't really need it. Like I said, the battery that's in this, it's running on batteries now, and it's showing us what we've got. It's telling us we've got 6 hours left on the battery. Now that is being a bit optimistic. Realistically, because I've tried it, the battery in this lasts using it for about 3 hours, which I think is really quite good considering the battery was completely dead when I first tried this thing. So if we forget about the extra £15 that I spent on the battery, which I don't really need, you know, we're at £32.50 for basically what is a fairly usable little laptop for the workbench. Which, if you think what an i5 laptop with a similar spec, if you was to buy it from like a computer reconditioner or, you know, cash converters or some of the people selling it on eBay, you're looking £75 to £100 for a similar spec laptop to this. So, you know, £32.50, really, I cannot fault that. So I think I did really well. I mean, it's a risk buying e-waste this was sold completely as e-waste. All it showed was, yes, it boots up to a BIOS screen. It's not got a BIOS password on it. It's not locked or anything. So yeah, I think I've done really, really well. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. This wasn't meant to be a long video, and like I said, a bit of a delay in the middle of it, 3 weeks while I was waiting for that RAM to arrive and being incredibly unwell. Normal videos will resume as soon as I'm feeling up to them. And like I said, I'm feeling a lot better now. I've still got a little bit of a chesty cough. But like I said, I'm over the worst of it now, so we will be, as you can see, I've got my magnifier here, because the next thing we will be doing is getting back on, wherever I've put it, there it is, getting back on to playing with this, which is the Acorn A7000 board that had the battery damage on it, because I'm itching to get that finished, back in its case and all built back up together. So like I say, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little video just showing you can get a reasonably decent laptop, you know, just for this kind of work. I'm sure you're not going to be video editing on it or anything like that, but for much cheaper than you see them being sold, you know, second hand, refurbed and stuff like that. If you are willing to, you know, put a little bit of effort in and build it up yourself, make it usable yourself. So I say, I hope you enjoyed that. The videos will be coming as soon as I can get round to it. So I will say thanks for watching and goodbye.